Teaching English with Love by Miss Natty. Today we are going to talk about the present simple. What is it for? Adverbs of frequency. How do we form it? We generally use the present simple to talk about something that is true in the present. For instance, I'm a student. He lives in Cerrillos. We can also use the present simple to talk about something that is always true, that is to say facts. The human body contains 206 bones, for example. We can also use the present simple to talk about something that happens regularly in the present. Let's have an example. I play football every weekend. Now, let's talk about the adverbs of frequency. These words tell you how many times you do an activity, that is to say, how often something happens. We use always in order to say that the action happens all the time. We can use usually or often when the action happens many times. We can use sometimes and rarely when the action happens less often. And we will also use never when the action doesn't happen at all. So let's have an example. I sometimes go to the cinema. She never plays football. How do we form an affirmative sentence? Affirmative sentences always start with the subject. Then we have the main verb. And then we have the complement. For example, I do homework in the afternoon. She downloads music with an app. Remember that when we have she, he, it as a subject, we will add s, es, or ies to the verb. Here you have a spelling chart. To most of the verbs we will add the s, like works, runs, drives. When the verbs end in no, x, ch, double s, or sh, we will add the es to the verb, like in does, misses, and washes. As regards the verbs ending in consonant plus y, like in cry, fly, and study, we will drop the y in order to add the ending ies, and they will be cries, flies, and studies. What about the verbs ending in vowel plus y? This rule doesn't apply for them, so we won't change the y and put the ies. We will just add the s to those verbs. Plays, buys, and says will be the result. Be careful with the position of the adverbs of frequency in affirmative sentences. They are often at the park on Friday mornings. I always meet my friends on Saturday afternoons. When we have a to be verb, the adverb of frequency will go after it, but with the rest of the verbs, the adverb of frequency will go before. How do we form negative sentences? Negative sentences also start with the subject, but in this case, we will add the auxiliary plus not, and the verb will be in the infinitive form. That is to say that we will use do not or does not. The verb won't change, and the complement, of course. For example, we don't go to sleepovers. He doesn't watch sports. So remember that when we have he, she, it, the auxiliary will be does, in this case does not. And when we have I, you, we, they, the auxiliary will be do, in this case, do not. How do we form an interrogative sentence? This type of questions will start with the auxiliary do or does depending on the subject, such as: do you tidy your room every day? Does your granny surf the net? It is important to notice that if you have the auxiliary in a sentence, you won't change the verb, okay? So, let's see the answers of these questions. Do you tidy your room every day? The answer will be yes, I do, or no, I don't. Does your granny surf the net? Yes, she does, or no, she doesn't. And finally, remember to respect the subject of a question in order to answer it. And sometimes you will have to change those subjects into personal pronouns, like in here.